Hello class. So today we're going to talk about sweep, which is the new feature that you guys are learning. And start with opening a part file. Just like always, we're going to check the units down here. Let's start with millimeter for this file. And we name this file straw. Okay, so this is a simple sweep, just for you guys to get the practice of the basics. As we talked about it, we need two intersecting planes to build any sweep. So we're going to start with our top plane and go sketch. So this is going to be the base of our straw, which is a circular shape. And I click the origin, click out, and come back and measure this. Remember, this is a millimeter, so I would say the diameter of a straw would be about 5 millimeters. So besides that, and the sketch is black and defined, so we are done with the sketch. So I'm going to come out of this. You can see sketch 1 is done. So now we need to build a sketch 2 and turn on these planes so you guys can see where I'm sketching. So we have our profile sketch or our basic sketch. Now we need to sketch a path on a perpendicular plane to our profile and tell the computer to have the space follow that path. In this case, both right plane and front plane will work. So we're going to pick front plane and click sketch. Notice this is sketch number 2, so separate than the first one. Press Ctrl 8, so I'm looking straight at it. And come use my line tool. The first point that you put down is the most important point. These two sketches need to have an intersecting point. So I use the center of the other circle as my starting point for the stem of the straw. I go back to Ctrl 8. So I'm looking straight. I go up. And the straw kind of bends to the side. So let's say, how tall is the straw? I kind of do this in inch because I know it better. Maybe it's about 10-inch tall. So I can just write 10 and write IN. And the computer will calculate the millimeter portion of it. So you don't have to actually do the millimeter. So it's a lot taller than I was expecting. Let's see. This is our base. This is our height. So maybe I will go with 8-inch. Now also that means this portion needs to be a lot taller. And I put this one at 30. Let's put it at 2-inch. Okay. Also, let's look straight at this. A straw usually doesn't have a sharp point, so we're going to come in and do a sketch fillet here. Use our sketch fillet. I come in here. It's kind of small. We're going to go up with the number until it looks nice and smooth. Okay, that looks better. So now our profile sketch is done. My bad. Our path sketch is done, and we're going to finish and completely come out of this one as well. So if you notice, we have sketch 1, which is the circle right here. And on a perpendicular plane, we have a sketch 2, which is that profile. Now that we have these two, we can make our sweep. So I'm going to go to features. Here we go. Sweep is the third option on top, sweep boss. And click this. As you notice here, it's asking you first for profile, right? This is the profile. This is path. So I'm going to pick the profile. Okay, now it switched into the path. So now I'm going to pick my path. And as you can see, the sweep is built. The base is following that path and making the shape. So this is a simple sweep. I'm going to say OK. And here's our straw. If you notice, this straw is filled, so we need to come back and shell it. So I use the shell tool. This is 10 millimeter wall thickness. It can't work because our whole circle was 5 millimeters. So let's put the wall thickness at 1 millimeter. Click show preview. So right now it's hollowing it out but leaving the top and bottom in place. But the straw does not have those. I'm going to select this top. Now you see the cut comes to the edge. Also, I'm going to select this bottom. So now when it cuts, we're going to have an open top and open bottom. 1 millimeter may be too thick, so I'm going to go back to 0.5 millimeter. That looks more similar to a straw. Okay, here we go. So now we have the hole, and if you always like to double check, you can use your cross section tool and look inside your form, which is a great practice. Okay, it looks correct, and we are done. So make sure you save your file. And finish. Okay, so next lesson, we're gonna do something a little bit more complicated. We're gonna build a teapot. So let's start a new file. Go to part. Check the measurements again. Okay, it's an inch. We'll stay in inches. And with this one, we have a picture to bring in. So I'm gonna go to front plane because we have a side view picture. And click on front plane. Go sketch. Once I'll bring the picture in, it's easier to understand what we're doing. So sketch. Okay. So we are in the sketch mode on the front plane. As before, go to tools, sketch tools, sketch picture. So we're going to look for our pictures. Here we go. This is the teapot we chose. Open. Okay, this may come in humongous. All right. So just looking at this image, we know this base part is going to be a revolve. This handle is going to be a sweep. This is going to be, for now, it's going to be a sweep, but a better way would be loft, but we're going to use sweep. Also, that top is going to be a revolve. So we're going to start with this base part and build our revolve through the center. To do that, we need a center line. So I'm going to check this. I'm going to come in and draw my center line. Okay. And measure it. So a teapot is about 6 inches tall. I'm guessing it might be 7 or 5. So we're going to go with 6 inch. So this is the reason why I came out of the image and measured my center line because I wanted to know how to size this, because we need an actual measurement to figure out what size is the correct size. Now I go back to the picture, I double click until this blue border shows up. Now I can move it. I want to try to center teapot, grab the corner, make it shorter, a lot more. So I'm measuring up to top here to be 6 inch. Let's see. Okay. Okay, now I gotta go bigger. Okay. That looks about right. And say okay. Now our first move is to build this revolve. So flat on the bottom. So as you notice, this is not 100% side view. There's a little bit of tilt in there. So I did the base, I came up a little bit for that. This looks like a very nice arc. So I'm just going to use the arc tool, which we have here. I'm going to use a 3-point arc. We click on it. You guys remember a 3-point arc has 3 points. First one is the start of the arc. Second one is the end of the arc. Third one is basically the radius. So we'll start with that. First, second, and this is the radius. So we're going to try to get as close as possible. Say okay. I move this image down a little bit because I think, all right, that's easier to work with. Go up a little bit. So we may need to adjust things here and there, but because I had it in the bottom, there was too much curve happening there. So we can come in maybe and fix this a little bit. These two kind of seem above each other. No, the base looks smaller than the top. I wanted to put a straight line here and make them even, but now that I pay attention, the bottom looks smaller than the top. So I'm going to keep it as is. Try to finish the sketch. Okay. Here, and we're not going to close because this is hollow. We all know that. So I'm going to leave it here. Because this is hollow, we're just going to select one line and use the offset entity. So it offset on the outside. Let's click reverse. Make sure you have select chain on. So rather than just doing this one piece, it will do the whole thing. I click reverse. All right. That looks good. 0.1 is the measurement. Say, let's do 0.15. See if that looks better. It still is a T head, so it's going to be more hefty. Okay. Remember, the sketch is not closed yet, so I have to come in and close this and close that. Okay. So something I'm noticing here, before I go ahead and finish the sketch, I notice there's this cap that's sitting here. That means there needs to be a notch right here to hold this piece in place. So I need to come in and add like a tiny notch right there. So I can just use my circle tool like that. So this will create a little notch. You could even go make a box like that. Let's trim the extras. I went to the scissor tool. I'm going to click the power trim is on. I click outside of what I want cut. I'm holding down the mouse. I will draw a line right on top. Okay, we wanted to get rid of those two. So now we have this like tiny notch that will go all around and hold this piece. We are ready for revolve. Feature, revolve. Asking us which ones are axes. It's this one. And here we go. So it's open on the top, it's closed on the bottom. Okay, nice, exactly as we want it. And go select this to show so we can build the rest of that. So if you pay attention, this handle right here, that's a sweep, right? But this sweep starts somewhere here. So if we have our profile sketch somewhere out here, we can do a path on our front plane because the front plane is going through the center. So we put our path on our front plane, but our profile is a plane that's perpendicular to that. So something similar to the right plane, but right plane starts right in the middle here, and we don't need that. So we're just going to start building a plane right on this space. Okay. So to build a plane, you go on features all the way to this, close to the end. You will go to reference geometry. Drop down menu, the first thing is plane. So when you want to build a plane, it needs minimum of 3 references to pick that plane. We know this is going to be parallel to the right plane, so we're going to select the right plane. And then rather than give it a couple more references, we're just going to say it's parallel. And we're going to give measurements. Here is dimension. This is angle, this is dimension. You can pull it out to where you think it's right, or just go up with the spacing. If your plane was going the wrong way, you just click flip and it goes the opposite way. Right? Keep going. So we're looking to get about here, because still we need to start here and then come out and come back in. So let's keep going. This part is okay. We're not worried about it because our path will go all the way back in here. But this profile, which is a circle, or I would say like an ellipse, that needs to be all the way inside of the body. So maybe that looks about good. So it's 3.1. I say okay. So we built a new plane that we can sketch on. So we select this plane, say sketch, and press Ctrl 8. So we're looking at it straight. It's weird because we can't see the image anymore, but we can always go back and forth. So we know that handle is more like elliptical. We can go to the ellipse tool here. Click the ellipse. You see this is the origin, so we're gonna make sure we're on the center. I click, come to the right. If I go to the side, this ellipse is not gonna look horizontal. It could be in a diagonal. So I click once. That's the major axis of the ellipse. I click the second times. This is the minor axis. And press escape to come out. So this will rotate. It's too flexible, it's open. So we need to come in and define this. So I'm going to click that dot and the right one. I held shift, so I'm selecting both. On the left, we're going to put it horizontal. So now it will stop it from rotating. Say okay. And come measure the center to the bottom. Says 2 inch. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I want to rotate to the side And look, all right, we need to be a lot higher. So maybe this should be 2.15. Let's see, maybe even more, maybe 2.25. Okay, that looks good. I'll go back to my view. This is pretty large, so we're also going to measure from that point to that point. So think of a handle of a teapot. It's about maybe less than 1 inch, maybe 0.75, like 3/4 of an inch. But it's definitely a little thicker than this. Maybe 1/2 inch thick. Okay, let's look. So don't worry about this thickness. This is a fillet that's gonna come in. So we're looking at this thickness right now. Okay, I go 0.8 on this one. It looks more elongated. Maybe even 0.85. Okay, that looks good. We're just gonna leave the sketch here and come out. We're not using any feature on it. So that sketch is on plane number 1. This is our sketch 2 on plane number 1. Now we find the perpendicular plane to that sketch. So this would be our perpendicular plane, and it's going to follow that path and connect to that circle. So we go on the front plane, we say sketch, Control 8. All right. So this time we're using the spline tool. Select the spline. Remember, your first point needs to connect the sketch of the profile to the path. So I'm rotating a little bit. By zooming, you guys see this ellipse? And stand on it. Here we go. Here's the center of it. So the first point you're clicking is the center of that ellipse. Okay, and I'm going to zoom out and press Control 8. Now I know it's connected, so now all I have to worry about is following this form. Make sure you don't stay on the edge. You're going to come in because we need to fill it around the edges. I will get rid of the axis later. Come in, press escape, and use these handles to make this more similar to the shape that we see. And we're down here. Okay, that looks about right. So notice I'm in the center of this shape because I selected this path to connect to the center. So that's why I'm trying to build my path through the center and not an edge on the either side. Okay. Looks good. We're done with sketch. I want you guys to see, here is our path, here is our profile. So now that we have the two sketch, we can go to features, use sweep. First question is our profile, which is the ellipse. Second question is the path. Perfect. All right, so we have our handle done. I know this is sticking on the inside. I'm gonna come in later and fix that. So we'll do the same thing on this side as well, but let's make the top piece for now. Gonna go on the front plane. Okay, I'm gonna cut this shape because I want the top to fall in there. Can I say okay? Okay, did I say okay? Yeah, it just doesn't show because the picture is covering it. But it's okay, this gives me enough information. Since this is also a revolve, we're going to use a center line. Okay. And our line tool. So we're basically just going to come in. Okay, maybe I should have gone higher up a little bit. It's okay, we'll use a fillet down here. And you can make it flush if you like, or go a little bit above. Okay. Here's this. And that looks flat to me. Okay. All of these needs fillet, but before that, I'm going to measure from center to here. It's 1.82. Okay, from this point to the center, 0.35, and maybe this top one, not the angle, just the height. Also the height of the whole thing. Okay, so this gives us enough information to go by. You could also do this angle if you wanted to. And now use the fillet tool to smooth out. You can do this also after you do your revolve, or do it here. Okay. One thing you notice, I forgot to close my sketch. So I'm going to come in, click and close the sketch. Now we're ready for our revolve. Okay, very good. Say okay, and then come out of this cut so we can see. All right, almost there. We only need the spout. So we'll do the exact same thing we did for the handle for the spout. First thing we need is to build a plane here, build our profile, and then use a perpendicular plane to build this path shape. So another way to build a plane, let's turn on our right plane to show. A quick way is to go stand on the edge. When you see these 4 arrows showing up, hold down your control key on your keyboard, click and drag. There will be a little bit of lag time, so you just have to be patient with it and wait for the second plane to show up. Then you can let it go. So again, what we did was we went to the edge of the plane. So if you're in the center and nothing shows up, you need to go to the edge and wait for those 4 arrows to show up. Hold Control on your keyboard, click and drag while holding Control. And I think that looks about right. Let me look. Yeah, that looks about right because it has to go all the way in here. Okay, say okay. So we have plane number 2. We're going to use our sketch. This is also an ellipse. Other way. So I'm still using the center as a guide. I'm going to click. Maybe here is the center of my ellipse. Go up, click once, and click again. Okay. Same thing as before. We're setting these 2 points, holding shift to be horizontal. Then I'm going to measure this. 1.5 for now. I'm going to rotate a little bit to the side using the arrow key on the keyboard. Again, I'm really low, so I need to go up, going back. Let's measure from the center to the origin. This is 2.36. Let's do 2.5. Okay, looking good. Maybe even more. So maybe 3. That's much better. And the height actually looks correct. Let's see. And narrow this down a little bit. Here, here. 2.25, just so it's an even number. Okay. So Control A. So one thing we just need to talk about, this is thicker than that, I know, but with sweep, we're gonna have the same thickness all throughout. So we're just gonna accommodate for the fact that this is a sweep and we're not using a loft tool. So as it follows through that S-curve, it will get smaller, but it's probably not gonna get that small. So I'm trying to go smaller here a little bit and a bit bigger here. Just to be like somewhere in the middle, 2.5. Okay, that's better. Okay, the sketch is also done. Here it is. It's sketch number 5. And as you know, we're gonna have to build the path for this now. So I'm going to perpendicular plane, which is front plane here. Here you see it's crossing that. Say sketch. Okay. We're using a spline tool. As you remember, the first point needs to be the center of this ellipse. Here we go. So we have to rotate a little bit just so we can see the center. Here we go. Right click. Now press Control 8 so I can go back to this. All right. Something like that. Notice I'm going past because we're gonna have to come in and cut this shape. So I'm going beyond that. And maybe a little bit higher this way. Okay. If you have really sharp points, curves, the computer may not be able to follow this shape through that path and will give you an error message. So you need to make sure you don't have super sharp turns. Okay, maybe that's better. I don't know how it will look until I try to sweep. Coming out of the sketch, we have our path and profile, going to feature, sweep, there we go. This, ooh, this is chunky. Okay. So this is way too large. So I go back and make it a lot smaller. And also it's going a bit thicker than I expected. Okay, we can always go back and thin this up and see what happens. Another option that we want to talk about, we know this is hollow, right? So we could always use this thin feature. The thin feature, it will build a hollow shape. But I think right now my curves are too small for that path and it's having problem with it. So let's go back to my path sketch and edit. All right, so this needs to come out more. Maybe, there we go. I have to just change the shape just a little bit. So it's able, maybe I'll just go straight up this one. This is still a sharp point. edited that, I'm also gonna come edit the sketch and make it smaller. Make this 2-inch tall. Maybe make this 1.25. So it has an easier time following that path. And some of this we're gonna get with the fillet. So it's gonna add thickness there. Let's try this now. Sweep. Path. That. Okay, this is too sharp. You guys see how there is a pinch? I have to come in and bring this lower. The rest of it works out. It's still gigantic. I'm gonna go a lot lower with this number. Okay. A simple way to edit your sketch is to double click on it and it goes into the sketch mode. So here from the 2-inch, 1.5. So actually going really small now. And this is gonna be 0.75. Because I put the center at the correct place, every time I'm switching these, the center is not changing. So my connection to that path is not changing. And we can update as much as we like. Okay, now I'm going to double click on this. So I had issue with here. It was too sharp. So I'm going to open that up. Let's see what happens. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. At this point, we don't even need this third one. Okay, let's try it again. Sweep. Okay, it's better, but there's still a kink here. Let's go. Yeah, I can't go up here. It almost needs to be just very smooth. This time, there's a small handle here. Maybe I can play with that. Okay, that's definitely too sharp. I don't need this many points. At this point, I'm just going to delete one of these points. Maybe I'm not in the sketch mode. I came out of a sketch for whatever reason. Okay, now we're in here. See? Okay, now that's deleted. Can use this. And bring this lower. And bring that lower. And let's see what happens now. I know we're not following that. We're just coming down a little bit more. But hopefully this will work. See? Sweet. Okay, much better. So we're gonna have to come in and cut it somewhere here and make it thicker here. This is still a little bit larger than I would like. I'm gonna say okay to this. Now to cut this part and look at the section view. So we're just gonna come in, you can see this, come in and cut, maybe something like that. Okay. So to cut this way, we need to use our front plane. Sketch and use our sweep tool. If you can see, this kind of curves and goes out. So ours is, let's rotate, it's like this. I come cut the top, maybe from here, and go out. So I use 3 points. Use this, go a little bit this way to match the slip looking thing. Okay, this is curving in too much. Come in, smooth this out. Okay. Hopefully this will make it look a little bit smaller. Again, we're using not the best tool to build that form, and we knew that from the beginning, which is okay. Okay, so this is going to be my cut line. So I'm going to come on this side and look at this cut line. So maybe if I go down this way, here we go, that would actually look better. Okay, we'll do this. There we go. All right, so this is a cut line, but my sketch is not done. You have to come in and make a closed path that contains all this top portion in it. A good practice is to still put a little bit of measurements so it won't collapse on itself. Okay, I'm done with this feature, extrude cut. So for this one, we're going to use mid plane so it cuts on both sides. Here we go. Nice. Okay, and another part is to put like a good fillet down here, a lot larger, so it'll help our shape to be similar. That might be too large. Let's do 4. Okay. I want to go back and make this ellipse, this base, a little bit smaller because it looks too big. So instead of 0.15, we're going to do 1 inch. All right, much better, a lot more manageable, right? We can go back to this fillet and make it larger. We can go up if we want to. I don't know if it looks good. It's about 1/2 inch. See? All right. Again, this is thicker. That's okay because we're using a completely different tool than that one. Also need to put fillets here. So go fillet. That's too large. And come down to maybe 0.25. That might be still too much. Maybe just 0.2. Say okay. Right, that looks good. I go out of the section view and I hide my image. Okay, let's see what we're working with. I don't love this piece. That's okay. So we need to hollow out this thing, right? So I'm going to use the shell tool. I need to see the other side too. So I'm using shell tool. And select this top here and this piece and see if that works. Show preview. Probably doesn't work because it wants to shell this whole thing. Okay. So our other option is to make this sweep a thin feature. So we talked about it a little bit earlier. Let's see. It doesn't give us the, because we've already built it, it doesn't give us the option of a thin feature anymore. Okay. There are two options we can do. We can do another sweep and cut this. So we use our sweep cut. And then for the rest of these, we do a revolve cut and clean up the inside. The other option is to change the spout to a separate part and hollow it out, use a shell. So let's try the second option first. It's faster. I'm going to go and edit. Here where it says merge result, I'm going to uncheck that. When I uncheck that, it probably kills the fillet that we have here, but it basically makes this piece separate than that. So here we go. You see how these will get affected, but we can go fix it. And go to the second one. So right now it doesn't know what it's cutting. I'm gonna say you're cutting this piece. Sweet. Let's clear all, and then I'll say this piece. Say okay. So that's fine. This fillet makes sense not to be working because now these are two different pieces, different bodies, so you can't put a joint thing there. So I'm just gonna press delete for now. Say okay. And use shell tool, see what happens. Show preview. Select the top, see, and we'll select the side, so it's hollowing it out nicely. Say okay. All right, so we have this done. Now we're gonna go combine these two shapes again. So as you can see, that's one body. This is one body, that's another. I'm gonna hold shift, select both of them, right click, says combine. So I'm combining these two. Say okay. It says add. Say okay. Now I can come in, do my fillet. Okay. And after the fillet, so I'm gonna do a tiny fillet here. 2.1. Let's see if that works. That's too big. 0.5. Not bad. Okay. Also, this top part. Could have done it all at the same time, which I should have probably. There we go. That. Right. Now the last piece we have extra pieces here and here. We need to run a cut revolve on the inside and make sure we make opening here, okay? So let's use this, say okay. Then go back to the sketch, make it show. I don't want to be in it, I just want it to show. Here we go. Okay, it's showing. Now we go to the front plane. Say sketch. Right, so this time we're trying to use this inner line to cut the whole thing. And it's going to be a revolve. So we use our center line, we put it down. And we know this is what we want, or the line we're looking for. So we're just going to select this, hold shift, select that and that. This is from the other sketch, but we're going to use a tool to bring it into this sketch. The tool is called Convert Entity. When I click that, it makes these black. So now these three lines are in my new sketch. All I have to do is close this sketch. So here you guys see it's closed. And we use this to do a revolve cut. There we go, revolve cut. Okay. So right now it will get rid of these axes, excess parts that were going in from the handle and from the spout, but the picture is kind of covering it. So let me see if I can turn off the picture so you guys see what's happening. Okay, here's our sketch. We'll do a revolve cut again. You see it's taking that out, taking this notch out, it's taking that little thing out. Say okay. That looks really smooth. All we need to do is to open this. So I'm just going to do a sketch on plane 2. I can even use the sketch we had on the sweep. Just going to say show. I go to plane 2, do sketch, select, okay, select this, go convert entity, see, convert. And I think it did. So we're selecting this, convert entity. It shows the signs, which means it's already done it. So I'm gonna just see if it will work. Oh yeah, it was already there, so I just did not notice it. So here we go. So this is cutting a straight. I don't want to cut this edge and make it thin. I'm gonna use the draft. So we'll narrow it a little bit. Not too much. Now that I think about it, if you had made this solid in the beginning and had that solid, we could have shelled the whole thing together, and that would have been a lot faster way to build than this way. But we never know until we do it and make the mistakes. So here we go. Cut. Okay, I'm gonna fillet this edge so it doesn't look like that. Okay, see, 0.1 maybe. Too much. 0.08. This is on the inside, so you will not see it, but still, it's nice to keep it smooth. Okay. So also we can fillet this one if we wanted to. Doesn't matter, it's on the inside. Look, all right. Here's our kettle. Looking through this. Very good. At the end, make sure you have two bodies. You have the top and you have the pot. Best practice is to hide all of your planes so you have a clean product. Also your sketches. Right click and hide that too. Right, we are done. Make sure you save. Save as teapot.